Have you ever noticed how the moments that shape us most deeply often arrive when we feel least prepared, when we're tired, scared, or carrying the weight of uncertainty? It's in those fragile spaces that life whispers its greatest invitations. But before we begin, please hit the like button and let me know where in the world you're watching from today. It's always fascinating seeing who's joining us from around the world. Now, imagine this. A quiet mind, even in chaos, becomes a compass pointing you toward what really matters. Calmness isn't passivity. It's the hidden power that lets you act anyway, even when every circumstance tells you not to. Has this ever happened to you, where stillness gave you the courage to take that first shaky step forward? When you quiet your thoughts, you start to notice the faint signals beneath the noise. Suddenly, you realize that progress doesn't demand perfection. You don't need to wait for the right time, the right energy, or the right resources. The truth is, beginnings are almost always imperfect. Sometimes you'll act while exhausted, uncertain, or even broke, but that action carries weight because it transforms hesitation into momentum. Stay with me until the end, because what you're about to discover might surprise you. It's not the absence of fear that changes your life, but your willingness to walk forward with fear still at your side. And then there's discipline, the quiet, unglamorous force that rewrites the script of your future. Excuses offer comfort now, but they leave you shackled tomorrow. Discipline, on the other hand, feels demanding in the moment, but gives you freedom later. Think about it. Every time you choose discipline over distraction, you're flipping the equation. You're deciding that setbacks will be scenes in your story, not the end of your book. Discipline transforms obstacles into plot points, weaving resilience into your narrative. Has there ever been a time when sticking to discipline today saved you from regret tomorrow? Calm and discipline, two forces that seem opposite, yet together they forge a path of unstoppable strength. Calmness gives you clarity, while discipline gives you direction. When you learn not to touch the same flame twice, you gain wisdom. When you keep showing up, even in difficulty, you build endurance. One without the other leaves you unbalanced, but united, they create a rhythm of life where setbacks no longer define you, and hesitation no longer holds you hostage. So, let's step into this journey together. Stay with me until the end, because we're just opening the first pages of something bigger. What if your calm mind and your disciplined choices were the very tools you've been searching for to rewrite your story? What you're about to uncover might shift the way you see your struggles, your delays, and even your fears. We've only scratched the surface, and in the next part, we'll dive deeper into how these principles can transform not just isolated moments, but the entire trajectory of your life. If you find value in these reflections and want to keep exploring powerful insights like this, make sure to subscribe. That way, every new lesson and perspective will be waiting for you right here, ready to inspire your journey. There is a hidden truth many people overlook. The ability to keep growing depends less on what you already know and more on how open you are to learning what you don't. Being teachable is one of the most powerful qualities you can cultivate, yet it's often misunderstood. Humility is not weakness. It is strength in disguise. When you admit you don't have all the answers, you give yourself permission to evolve, to absorb new insights, and to transform setbacks into lessons. Life is constantly offering revelations, but only those willing to listen, to bend without breaking, truly capture their impact. And sometimes, this willingness to learn doesn't come surrounded by noise, advice, or applause. It appears in solitude, when you are left with nothing but your own reflection. Solitude, though feared by many, is not emptiness, it is medicine. It allows the wounds no one else sees to heal quietly. Alone, you gather pieces of yourself, rebuild, and emerge stronger, ready to outgrow the storms that once threatened to bury you. Behind the scenes of every transformation lies patience, a virtue that feels invisible while you practice it, but unmistakable in its results. Think about how everything meaningful in life begins. Awkwardly, clumsily, even painfully. Whether it's learning a new skill, building resilience, or repairing a broken part of your heart, the beginning feels heavier than you expect. That's because everything is hard before it's easy. The real challenge isn't the difficulty itself, but the temptation to escape it too soon. To pause before making permanent decisions is to give wisdom a chance to whisper its guidance. To rest instead of quitting is to honor your limits without abandoning your potential. And in those moments of stillness, the question that always matters most emerges. Why? Why are you here? Why are you doing this? Why does it matter? The strength of your why determines the depth of your patience. When the vision becomes clear, patience stops feeling like waiting and starts feeling like preparation. And what about happiness? So many chase it like it's something hidden far away, waiting to be found. But the hidden truth is that happiness is not a treasure buried outside of you. It is something you build moment by moment. To make happiness rather than wait for it is a radical act of freedom. Time is relentless. It doesn't pause, doesn't bargain, doesn't return. If you delay joy, you risk watching your days slip into the past without ever having been fully lived. That's why happiness must be crafted deliberately, as if every day were a canvas and you are the artist. You shape it through your decisions, your mindset, your willingness to give rather than only receive. Life echoes back what you pour into it. Give bitterness, and the world will reflect shadows. Give generosity, patience, and love, and the world responds with unexpected light. Each sunrise is an invitation, each morning a fresh beginning, and it's in the small daily choices that your life either contracts or expands. Now, I want to go even deeper into this topic, because hidden behind these principles is a pattern that shapes every transformation. Growth demands humility, patience demands vision, and happiness demands courage. These are not isolated ideas. They are threads woven into the same fabric, the design of a life lived with purpose. To embrace them is to accept that the journey itself is where meaning unfolds, not just the destination. As you hear these words, reflect on the storms you've faced, the moments you've waited longer than you thought you could, and the days when joy seemed far away but returned because you chose to create it. If this resonates with you, write in the comments, "This makes sense to me." Put it down not just as agreement, but as a declaration that you see yourself in this path, that you, too, are willing to be teachable, to wait with purpose, and to create happiness instead of chasing it. There's a hidden truth about life that few admit out loud. Most people waste more energy replaying the past than building the future. We go over the same what-if scenarios again and again, as if dragging the weight of old mistakes long enough could somehow rewrite them. But the past is not a prison. It's a classroom. Each chapter, even the painful ones, was written to leave you with a lesson, not a life sentence. A single bad chapter doesn't mean the story is ruined. What truly keeps you stuck is not the mistake itself, but the refusal to learn from it. When you choose to learn instead of linger, you transform regret into wisdom, and wisdom has the power to redirect the entire course of your journey. Imagine carrying only the lesson forward, leaving the heaviness behind. Suddenly the road feels lighter, and you have space to move again. But moving forward requires more than letting go. It demands that you face the cost of comfort. Comfort zones feel safe, familiar, and predictable, yet they quietly rob you of growth. Every dream, every breakthrough, every transformation waits just outside that invisible line you've drawn around yourself. And the price of staying comfortable is higher than it looks. It's the silent erosion of your potential. When you push against that invisible wall, when you train your mind to stay calm under pressure instead of collapsing in fear, something shifts. You discover strength you didn't know you had. You begin to realize that courage isn't about having no fear. It's about refusing to let fear dictate the boundaries of your life. The past may have shaped you, but it doesn't define where you're going. The past is a map of where you've been, not a command about where you must stay. And here is where the hidden architecture of progress reveals itself. Trust. To trust the process is one of the hardest decisions you'll ever make, because it requires faith without immediate proof. Big things take time, and in that waiting, doubt sneaks in. You might wonder if the effort is worth it, if the discipline you practice will ever bear fruit. Yet behind the scenes of every success story lies a season of persistence that no one applauds. The daily habits, the quiet discipline, the choices made. When no one is watching, these are the foundations of dreams that last. Quick results may sparkle, but they rarely endure. Sustainable dreams are built on patience, consistency, and the grit to endure hard days. And strangely enough, it is those hard days that give you pride. Survival turns into strength, and strength becomes the proof that you are capable of carrying more than you imagined. This is the paradox of transformation. The same moments that feel like obstacles are often the very conditions that shape your resilience. The hidden truth is that your struggles are not detours. They are the training ground for the life you're building. It's here that mindset becomes everything. The decision to keep showing up, to keep trusting, even when results are invisible, has an impact far beyond what you can see in the moment. It rewires your confidence. It shifts your identity from someone who waits for change into someone who creates it. And once that shift happens, the journey itself becomes different. You're no longer just surviving the process. You're becoming someone stronger through it. Now, I want to go even deeper into this topic, because the revelations don't stop at discipline or trust. They open the door to an entirely new way of seeing yourself, your struggles, and the world you're creating around you. Each lesson is not an endpoint, but a stepping stone, and together they form the path to a life built with intention, courage, and vision. If this resonates with your own journey, write in the comments, "I'm also on this path." Share it not only as agreement, but as a mark of recognition that you, too, are choosing to learn, to step beyond comfort, and to trust the process even when it tests your patience. There is a hidden truth that reshapes the way we approach ambition. The most powerful victories rarely come with noise. Winning quietly means cultivating the discipline to hold your vision steady, even in the midst of negativity. It means learning to stay grounded in rooms where energy is heavy, where doubt hovers, and where your light feels unwelcome. Silence in this sense is not weakness. It is strategy. Moving in silence allows your energy to grow without interference, your plans to solidify without sabotage, and your next move to surprise even you with its impact. Behind the scenes, this is how transformation is forged, by replacing impulsive displays with deliberate actions. Instead of labeling your goals as vague dreams, you reframe them into concrete plans, decisions backed by intention. A dream can drift endlessly, but a plan is measurable, accountable, and real. And when you begin to see your steps not as guesses, but as structured moves toward checkmate, something shifts within you. You stop needing validation at every stage, and you start recognizing that not every seed you plant has to be announced. The harvest speaks louder than any announcement ever could. But this requires faith, the kind that allows you to see opportunities where others only see walls. Every obstacle is both a block and a doorway, depending on the frame through which you view it. Belief is that frame. It colors your world, filters what you notice, and amplifies the signals that guide your next decision. When you choose to believe, you expand the range of what's possible. Belief doesn't erase difficulty, but it rewires how you interact with it. You begin to treat setbacks as signals, failures as feedback, and resistance as training. The reason you began becomes the anchor that keeps you from drifting. It reminds you that persistence is not punishment. It's preparation. The mindset to see opportunities is also what helps you release the chains of perfectionism. Perfection is seductive because it promises acceptance, but in truth, it paralyzes. Growth doesn't exist in flawless performance. It lives in the cracks, the errors, the imperfect attempts that reveal where you still need to stretch. When you demand perfection from yourself, you deny yourself the raw material of progress. Mistakes are not proof of inadequacy. They are evidence of motion, of courage, of experimentation. And when you allow yourself to win in your mind first, perfection loses its hold. You understand that every misstep can be repurposed into insight. Real transformation doesn't come from hiding flaws. It comes from using them. The need for external approval fades, because the approval that matters most is the kind you give yourself when you know you've shown up, tried, and grown. Growth beyond perfectionism requires the courage to enter uncomfortable spaces without certainty of the outcome. That discomfort is the birthplace of every revelation. It's where mindset becomes more than a motivational word and turns into a lived practice. To stretch past what is familiar, to risk mistakes, to allow the world to see you unfinished. This is how you align your daily actions with the larger journey you're on. And slowly, you realize that the real victory isn't perfection at all. It's freedom. The freedom to evolve without needing to prove. The freedom to fall and rise again. The freedom to be more focused on the impact you create than on the flawless image you present. Now, I want to go even deeper into this topic, because once you start winning quietly, reframing obstacles, and shedding perfectionism, a new question emerges. How do you sustain that momentum when life continues to test your patience and resilience? The answer lies not in external conditions, but in the quiet power of your own inner strategy. If these words reflect your experience, write in the comments, "This makes sense to me." Let it be more than agreement. Make it a reminder to yourself that progress is not about applause or perfection, but about persistence, perspective, and the courage to keep moving even when the world isn't watching. There is a quiet strength that comes from cultivating a calm mind, and it is often misunderstood as indifference when, in truth, it is the foundation of wise decisions. When your mind is unsettled, everything feels like an emergency. Every storm around you seems like it's crashing directly into your life. But when you learn to accept what is, release what was, and trust what will be, you step into a different kind of clarity. You begin to see that not every battle deserves your presence, and not every storm belongs to you. Guarding your peace is not about isolation. It's about choosing which energies deserve your attention. Behind the scenes of transformation, this is where the greatest revelations are found. The realization that stillness is not emptiness, but power contained. Power directed, power waiting for the right moment to act. And when the moment to act arrives, how you choose to move makes all the difference. Leading with strategy, rather than emotion, changes the entire impact of your journey. Emotion has its place. It signals what matters and fuels the fire to begin. But without strategy, emotion alone can mislead you into choices you later regret. Strategy is the hidden truth behind every sustained victory. It means taking the first step not in blind impulse, but in deliberate alignment with your vision. It means allowing intelligence to guide the energy of emotion, like a river channeled by strong banks, flowing with purpose instead of flooding without direction. Confidence in this light isn't about never feeling fear. It's about facing fear while holding to strategy, transforming fear into proof that you are walking towards something greater than comfort. This shift in perspective prepares you for the next revelation. Rebuilding your life begins in the quiet architecture of thought. The quality of your thoughts becomes the framework of your decisions, and your decisions become the structure of your days. When your inner dialogue is filled with doubt, resentment, or self-sabotage, it bleeds into your choices, shaping a life that mirrors those patterns. But when you challenge that inner voice, when you choose better thinking, not blindly positive, but consciously constructive, you begin to rebuild from the inside out. This is where the hidden truth emerges. No one is coming to save you. Waiting for someone else to step in, to rescue, to carry the weight, keeps you stuck in place. Transformation begins the moment you decide to become your own hero. That decision alone alters the entire trajectory of your journey because it reclaims your power from circumstance. Turning pain into power does not mean pretending suffering never happened. It means reinterpreting it, allowing it to serve as a teacher rather than a jailer. Every wound you carry can either anchor you in bitterness or fuel your rise into clarity and strength. The decision is yours, and it is made daily in the privacy of your own thoughts. This is why rebuilding begins in the mind. Once you shift the way you think, the world outside of you begins to respond differently. Opportunities that once looked invisible now appear as possibilities. Obstacles that seemed immovable reveal themselves as stepping stones. The hidden truth is that your reality bends to the quality of your perception, and perception is trained by thought. Now, I want to go even deeper into this topic, because once you realize that peace, strategy, and thought are not separate tools but parts of the same design, you uncover the architecture of transformation itself. It's in this architecture that you discover not only how to endure life, but how to recreate it from the inside out, with resilience, clarity, and the quiet certainty that nothing external can truly define you. If this connects with your experience, write in the comments, "I choose clarity." Leave it as a reminder that you are not just reacting to life's storms, but actively building a mindset strong enough to carry you forward with wisdom, strategy, and power. There is a hidden truth about strength that most people overlook. It often thrives in silence. Privacy is not secrecy, it is power. The more you spread your energy across unnecessary explanations, the weaker it becomes. Every expectation you absorb from others weighs down your journey, creating invisible chains that distract you from your own vision. When you learn to share less, not out of fear, but out of strategy, you preserve the momentum of your transformation. What you're building doesn't need constant validation. It needs consistency. And when you start renaming problems as challenges, something shifts inside you. A problem feels like a wall, immovable and suffocating. A challenge feels like an invitation, a test designed to reveal strength you didn't know you had. This change in language rewires how you face life. Suddenly, instead of asking, "Why me?" you begin asking, "How do I grow from this?" Behind the scenes of every resilient life is a mindset that refuses to give up its power. Your mindset is not just an accessory to success, it is your greatest asset. Without it, talent fades, plans collapse, and discipline cracks. With it, even the smallest step becomes impactful. To cultivate this mindset, you must stop counting days and start making them count. Time is not the enemy when you know how to use it. It becomes a silent ally, multiplying the impact of small, consistent actions. Patience with little reveals your ability to stay grounded when progress feels invisible, while humility with much proves your character when the rewards finally appear. True transformation doesn't happen only when you rise from struggle. It shows in how you handle abundance without arrogance. The hidden truth is that mindset shapes not just your future, but also the way you carry yourself through the present moment. And in this delicate balance, the way you speak to yourself becomes non-negotiable. Your inner dialogue is the behind-the-scenes narrative that either builds or breaks your journey. Harsh words toward yourself plant seeds of doubt that no external encouragement can fully erase. But speaking to yourself with care, even when you're in discomfort, creates an environment where growth becomes inevitable. Discomfort is not punishment, it is the space where resilience is forged. To embrace it without tearing yourself down is to honor the process of becoming. Respect for yourself, both in thought and in action, sets the tone for how others treat you as well. Boundaries, after all, are not walls to keep people out, but frameworks to ensure you don't lose yourself in the noise of others. Keeping things private until they're permanent is an act of self-respect too. Dreams in progress are fragile, like seedlings that need protection until their roots are strong enough to weather storms. When you protect your vision this way, you give it the best chance to grow into something undeniable. Now, I want to go even deeper into this topic, because when privacy, mindset, and self-respect align, you begin to see that the real foundation of power has nothing to do with appearances and everything to do with how you manage your inner world. This hidden architecture of strength is what allows you to walk through challenges with clarity, face opportunities with humility, and build a life where the loudest proof of your growth is the impact you create, not the noise you make. If this resonates with you, write in the comments, "I protect my energy." Leave it as a reminder that your journey is not about meeting the expectations of others, but about shaping a mindset, a voice, and a path that are truly your own. Focus is not just about what you look at, it's about what you decide to ignore. In a world that constantly pulls at your attention, curating your focus is an act of power. Every distraction carries a hidden cost, draining small fragments of your energy until you wonder why progress feels so slow. When you learn to filter when you strip away the noise and keep your attention fixed on what truly matters, life starts to feel clearer. Time, after all, is your most valuable asset. Unlike money or possessions, once it slips away, it never returns. That's why investing your time deliberately, rather than leaking it into endless distractions, becomes the foundation of a life built with intention. Behind the scenes of every success story, you'll always find this discipline, someone who decided their focus was worth protecting, even when the world demanded they scatter it everywhere. But focus alone is not enough. It must be fueled by belief. Choosing belief over negativity is one of the most transformative decisions you can make. Negativity seems rational at times, even protective, but it narrows your vision until all you see are reasons why things won't work. Belief expands that vision. It doesn't erase challenges, but it reframes them in a way that allows possibilities to emerge. The hidden truth here is that your mind becomes the lens through which reality takes shape. A positive mind doesn't guarantee a perfect life, but it builds the foundation for a resilient one. And staying positive in hard moments is not naive. It's a real victory. It means you've refused to surrender control of your inner world to circumstances you cannot dictate. Think about it. When everything around you suggests you should collapse, but you still choose belief, you prove to yourself that your strength is not dependent on conditions. It comes from within. This is why mindset is the thread tying everything together. Your mindset drives everything. Your decisions, your habits, your relationships, your ability to endure storms. Pain will come, but pain is temporary. Lessons remain long after the wound closes, shaping who you become. And what carves those lessons deepest is how you speak to yourself during the struggle. Self-talk is the quiet architect of identity. The words you whisper to yourself in the silence of doubt either strengthen your resolve or erode it from within. If you constantly repeat that you're not enough, eventually you will live like it's true. But when you hold the line, when you refuse disrespect, not only from others, but also from yourself, you begin to build a foundation of respect so strong that it becomes unshakable. The way you talk to yourself teaches your mind what to believe. That's the hidden truth most people overlook. Your inner dialogue sets the tone for the entire journey. Now, I want to go even deeper into this topic, because once you understand how focus, belief, and mindset intertwine, you realize they form the compass guiding every step of your transformation. They are not just habits, but anchors, ensuring that no matter the storm outside, you carry direction within. This inner compass does more than help you survive. It teaches you how to navigate life with clarity, conviction, and the courage to keep moving forward when everything else tells you to stop. If this resonates with where you are in your journey, write in the comments, "My focus shapes my life." Leave it as a reminder to yourself that every choice of attention, every seed of belief, and every word you speak within is actively building the reality you're stepping into. Owning your attention is one of the most radical acts of transformation you can commit to. The world will always try to convince you that more time is the answer, but the hidden truth is that it isn't about time, it's about focus. Fewer distractions outweigh endless hours of scattered effort. When you learn to value your attention as if it were currency, you stop spending it carelessly. You start treating your peace like oxygen, recognizing that without it, nothing else functions. Sometimes this means walking alone, not because solitude is the ultimate goal, but because survival demands you protect the clarity of your mind. Alone, you see what was drowned out by noise. Alone, you notice what truly matters. And when you return to the world with that clarity, you carry an energy that can't be shaken. But clarity also demands courage, the courage to let go. Letting go is not a sign of weakness. It is the decision to unclench your grip on what no longer serves your journey. Too often, people chain themselves to past failures as if carrying the weight will somehow prove their strength. But persistence is not about dragging the old forward. It's about planting your steps in the present and refusing to stop. Past mistakes do not define you. Your ability to rise after them does. Letting go allows space for new skills, new perspectives, and new opportunities to enter. when you teach yourself something that endures, something no one can take away. You rewrite your story from victim of circumstance to architect of your future. This is the quiet power of decisions. Once made, they begin shaping the path ahead, whether you move or not. And yet, even with clarity and persistence, there is one more choice that separates those who grow from those who stagnate: the willingness to risk. Risk is uncomfortable, uncertain, and unpredictable, but it is also the birthplace of transformation. Comfort is seductive because it feels safe, but it slowly erodes potential until you realize years have passed and nothing has changed. Risk shakes that illusion. Taking a chance means stepping into the unknown with no guarantees, but with the faith that growth waits on the other side. Words can promise change, but only actions prove it. Behind the scenes of every breakthrough is someone who chose to act when it was easier to stay still. This doesn't mean chasing chaos or gambling recklessly. It means choosing movement over stagnation, even when the outcome isn't certain. Risk refines you because it forces decisions. It reveals resilience, and it teaches adaptability. Every leap, whether graceful or clumsy, teaches you something that staying still never could. And even when you stumble, the simple act of moving creates momentum. Momentum is what shifts the course of your journey, turning intentions into lived reality. Now, I want to go even deeper into this topic, because when attention, release, and risk intersect, they form a kind of inner revolution. You begin to realize that your life is not shaped by what you avoid, but by what you dare to confront. The impact of that realization ripples into every choice, every relationship, every step forward. If these words resonate with you, write in the comments, "I choose movement." Let it serve as both a declaration and a reminder that you are not here to stagnate, but to own your focus, release what's heavy, and risk enough to become more than you were yesterday. Acceptance is one of the most misunderstood forces in life. Many mistake it for passivity, as if to accept means to resign, to surrender without motion. But the hidden truth is that acceptance is the beginning of transformation. When you accept, you stop wasting energy fighting what already is, and you reclaim the power to decide what comes next. It doesn't mean tolerating what harms you. It means seeing clearly enough to change what you can control, yourself and your environment. Trying to change other people is like shouting at the wind. It drains you while the storm continues. But changing yourself, adjusting your space, shifting your choices, that is where real impact lives. To love widely, to hate no one, to lead by example instead of argument, is to embody the kind of transformation that speaks louder than persuasion ever could. It is a quiet strength that turns influence into presence, not force. This strength then opens the door to another revelation, that life is meant to be made, not merely survived. Too many people spend their days working for a living, but forget to shape a life. The distinction lies in intention. To work hard is important, but to keep your priorities straight is vital. You are not here just to exist within routines. You are here to create meaning, to be a rainbow in someone's cloud, as the phrase goes, is to recognize that your actions, no matter how small, carry ripples of impact beyond your own journey. What you allow to fill your mind determines the direction of your days, and the direction of your days builds the architecture of your life. If your mind is filled with scarcity, comparison, or resentment, your life bends in that direction. But if you fill it with gratitude, curiosity, and focus, the life you build becomes a reflection of abundance and growth. And yet, even as you build, there is a cycle you must embrace. Hope, learn, repeat. Hope is the spark that keeps you from collapsing into despair. It's the light that says there is more ahead, even when you cannot see it clearly. Learning is the anchor that turns experience into wisdom. Without it, you repeat mistakes instead of transforming them into stepping stones. And repeating this cycle is what shapes endurance. Life is not a straight line. It is an unfolding journey of trial and renewal. Pressure, in this context, is not your enemy, but your sculptor. Just as coal becomes diamond through immense force, your potential is revealed under weight. What seems unbearable in the moment often becomes the very condition that uncovers your resilience. Behind the scenes, this pattern is always at work. The challenge is to recognize it while you're still inside the process. When you accept instead of resist, when you create instead of merely survive, and when you keep circling back to hope and learning, you begin to notice that every experience, even the painful ones, is reshaping you. This doesn't mean denying your struggles, but interpreting them differently. They are not proof of your weakness, but of your unfolding strength. The hidden truth is that the person you are becoming is forged in the very moments you wish would pass quickly. Now, I want to go even deeper into this topic, because once you see that acceptance, creation, and resilience are not isolated choices, but parts of a greater design, you start to recognize the architecture of growth written into your journey. Every decision you make, every thought you cultivate, and every hope you sustain becomes part of the story you're building, a story that expands beyond survival into purpose. If this speaks to you, write in the comments, "I'm creating my life." Let it serve as a declaration that you are no longer content with just existing, but are intentionally shaping who you are and the impact you leave behind. Movement is life. When you stop moving, even internally, the world around you begins to feel heavier, smaller, and more confining. To keep moving doesn't always mean grand leaps or monumental achievements. It often looks like small, steady steps that, over time, shift the entire direction of your journey. Joy becomes the compass here, not as a fleeting feeling, but as a powerful response to life itself. Choosing joy, even in moments where it seems out of reach, is an act of defiance against despair. It reminds you that progress is measured not in the numbers society often throws at you, income, status, recognition, but in the growth you feel within, the meaning you extract from each day, and the sense of alignment you build with your deeper self. A meaningful life is not defined by accumulation, but by expansion, by how fully you live the present moment, even when the future is uncertain. This understanding naturally leads to the recognition that your future is not waiting for you somewhere ahead. It is being created now with every decision you make. There are no mistakes in the truest sense, only opportunities disguised as detours. The hidden truth is that life hands you one coin time, and you get to decide how to spend it. You can scatter it on distractions, or you can invest it into building something lasting. Every choice is a transaction, shaping the life you are constructing behind the scenes. And even pain, which often feels like theft, becomes an investment if you let it mature into strength. When you interpret struggle as part of the refining fire instead of the end of the road, you uncover resilience that no comfort zone could have taught you. Transformation is not born in easy seasons. It comes from the decision to use hardship as raw material for growth. But what sustains this process is not just action or vision, it is character. Reputation is fragile, built on perception, easily swayed by whispers and judgments. Character, however, is the core of who you are, the unshakable part that remains when everything external is stripped away. To live with gratitude is to fortify that character. Gratitude grounds you in humility, reminding you that even in lack, there is abundance to be seen. Choosing good company reinforces it because the people around you act as mirrors, amplifying either your highest self or your lowest habits. And treating each day as a small masterpiece shifts the way you move through the world. A masterpiece isn't rushed. It is crafted with care, detail, and presence. When things go wrong, and they will, character is what keeps you from collapsing into chaos. It reminds you that circumstances can bend you, but they don't have to break you unless you decide to go with them. Now, I want to go even deeper into this topic, because once you see how movement, intention, and character intertwine, you begin to understand the architecture of a life built on more than appearances. This is where the journey transforms from survival to creation, where your daily steps accumulate into something greater than the sum of their parts, and where the hidden truth of who you are begins to reveal itself through action, not words. If these ideas speak to you, write in the comments, "I choose character." Let it be a reminder that while reputation may shift with the winds of opinion, it is your character shaped by gratitude, choices, and presence that defines the true impact of your journey. Success without value is an empty shell. To be of value is to contribute in ways that extend beyond titles, numbers, or recognition. It is to create an impact that outlives the applause. Success can be measured, but value is felt. It's in the way your presence changes a room, the way your decisions ripple into someone else's journey, the way you choose to stand for something greater than yourself. Beginning boldly doesn't mean having it all figured out from the start. It means daring to step forward, even when uncertainty surrounds you. And part of that boldness is choosing your circle wisely, because the people closest to you shape the mindset that carries you. They either remind you of a value or distract you from it. Avoiding the mistake of rebuilding in the same place that once broke you is also an act of value, because it means you've learned that environments influence growth, and not every soil deserves another seed. Walking away is often seen as weakness, but it's one of the strongest decisions you can make. To walk away when needed is to understand that clinging to the wrong people or toxic spaces drains more than just time. It corrodes identity. Letting go doesn't mean abandoning loyalty. It means recognizing that loyalty without respect is self-betrayal. Boundaries are not walls. They are filters. They don't cut you off from love. They protect love from being wasted where it's not honored. And when those boundaries reveal who the pretenders are, it's not loss. It's clarity. True friends are not repelled by your boundaries. They are revealed by them. Walking away, then, is not rejection. It is redirection, a decision to preserve your energy for places and people where your value can thrive. And in every step you take, there is one truth you cannot escape. Choices have consequences. Every decision plants a seed, whether you notice it or not. Avoiding failure is a disguised form of avoiding success, because the path to growth is paved with attempts that don't go as planned. The only way to avoid consequences is to avoid living, and that itself is a consequence. Guarding your thoughts in private is an act of protection, because thoughts repeated long enough become identity. Guarding your words in public is an act of wisdom, because words spoken cannot be taken back. Every thought and word holds weight, shaping the way you are perceived, and more importantly, the way you perceive yourself. And perhaps one of the most overlooked truths is this: you teach others how to value you by the standards you hold for yourself. When you stop doing what's taken for granted, you remind yourself and the world that your energy is not infinite, that your worth is not negotiable, and that your life is too valuable to be wasted on cycles that drain rather than build. Now, I want to go even deeper into this topic, because once you recognize that value, boundaries, and choices are not isolated, you begin to see the hidden architecture of transformation. Each decision becomes a brushstroke on the canvas of your life, revealing behind the scenes the person you are becoming. The revelations that come from honoring your worth, protecting your energy, and owning your consequences create a journey that is not just about surviving, but about shaping a legacy rooted in intention and impact. If this resonates with you, write in the comments, "I choose wisely." Let it serve as a reminder that your value is not defined by success alone, but by the quality of your decisions, the strength of your boundaries, and the clarity of the life you are building. Perfection promises safety, but the hidden truth is that it steals momentum. Progress, not flawlessness, is what reshapes your journey. When you stop clutching sunk costs and stale promises, you free your hands to build what actually fits the person you're becoming. Your best teacher is always your last mistake, because it carries fresh data from the front lines of your life. Iterate in public results after you've iterated in private. Resolve. Behind the scenes, this is where transformation happens. Micro adjustments to your mindset. Tiny course corrections that look insignificant today, but change your destination over time. You don't need a flawless plan. You need a living one, flexible enough to learn, sturdy enough to keep you moving. Mastery begins with your reactions. You can't always choose what arrives, but you can choose how you answer. Anger feels powerful in the moment, yet it punishes you first and longest. It spends tomorrow's clarity to win today's argument. The pause is a strategic decision, not a retreat. Let skill lift you, but let character keep you there. Skill opens doors. Character earns the right to stay in the room. Protect trust like crystal, because once cracked, it never reflects light the same way again. This matters not just with others, but with yourself. Every time you keep a promise to you, your confidence learns to rely on your word. That inner contract is the quiet engine that sustains effort when applause is absent. Aiming higher than you are means setting goals that require you to stretch beyond your current identity. If the target doesn't demand growth, it isn't worthy of your potential. Seek respect over attention. Respect compounds in silence, while attention evaporates in noise. And remember, time is a fair auditor given long enough. It reveals true loyalties. Let your decisions show your priorities without explanations. Choose companions who challenge your thinking, elevate your standards, and celebrate your courage to change. Ambition without alignment breeds burnout. Ambition with alignment becomes endurance. Now, I want to go even deeper into this topic, because there's a pattern running beneath all of this, an architecture of decisions that turns ideals into outcomes. Progress over perfection keeps you moving forward when the path bends. Mastering your reactions keeps you steady when the weather shifts. Aiming higher keeps you honest about the distance between where you are and where you intend to be. The impact is subtle at first. You edit a thought before it hardens into belief. You choose a response that preserves trust. You pick a target that scares you just enough to wake up your discipline. These small choices accumulate until the horizon changes shape, and the person walking toward it isn't the same one who began. Think of it as an ongoing calibration. Each day asks, what did I learn yesterday that I can use today? What emotion must be harnessed so it fuels rather than floods? Which goal demands a version of me I haven't met yet? And what practice will introduce us? The revelations don't arrive as lightning bolts. They arrive as quiet confirmations that your mindset is stronger than your moods. And as those confirmations stack, you stop bargaining with your potential. You show up, you iterate, you protect trust, you stretch. The journey becomes less about proving and more about becoming, less about image and more about integrity. You start to sense that real power is calm, directional, and deeply personal power that doesn't need an audience to be real. If this aligns with where you are right now, write in the comments, I choose growth. Put it there to anchor your commitment in words you can revisit later, so when perfection tempts, anger flares, or fear shrinks your aim, you'll have a clear reminder of the path you promised yourself to walk. Freedom is often sold as something external, measured in possessions, travel, or status, but the hidden truth is that freedom begins within. Money is useful, yes, but it is a tool, not the destination. Real freedom comes when you no longer outsource your happiness to circumstances. It is born in the decision to choose progress over perfection, to stop waiting for life to look flawless before you allow yourself to feel whole. Inner freedom means you can walk through chaos without losing your center, because your sense of value doesn't hang on things you can lose. It's the kind of freedom that whispers in your ear when perfectionism knocks. I don't need flawless conditions to keep moving. And the more you live from that place, the more unshakable your journey becomes. This is why beginnings matter. Starting now, even in the smallest way, is an act of power. Waiting for the perfect moment is another form of fear dressed as preparation. You may not control the pace of the outcome, but you control the decision to begin. Great things always take time, and that time passes whether you move or not. Hope becomes the engine that keeps you showing up to write today's page, even if it feels incomplete. One page may seem insignificant, but stack enough of them together, and suddenly you've written a story you once thought impossible. What blocks most people isn't lack of ability, it's the comfort of the familiar. The familiar whispers safety, but it slowly steals potential. Fear it, not because it's dangerous, but because it's seductive. Staying in comfort convinces you you're alive, when in truth, you're only existing. To start now and start small is to rebel against stagnation. But even as you move, you'll discover another revelation. Life isn't about controlling every outcome. It's about presence. The need for control is exhausting because it's rooted in the illusion that certainty guarantees happiness. Presence, on the other hand, brings a different kind of peace. It teaches you to live today, not tomorrow, to stop delaying joy for some distant finish line. Presence allows you to say no to invitations that misalign with your path, even if they look appealing on the surface. Every no clears space for the yes that truly matters. And small daily steps often dismissed as insignificant carry a hidden power. Over time, they build momentum, and momentum becomes transformation. Mountains are not moved by one dramatic push, but by countless small actions repeated with patience and conviction. Now, I want to go even deeper into this topic, because once you realize freedom, beginnings, and presence are interconnected, you start to see a pattern behind the scenes of every meaningful transformation. Freedom gives you the clarity to start. Starting gives you the momentum to stay present. And presence makes the journey itself fulfilling instead of just the destination. This architecture is subtle, but it reshapes the way you see your days, not as obstacles to survive, but as opportunities to expand. If this connects with your own experience, write in the comments, "I choose presence." Put it down as a way of affirming that your freedom is not tied to control, that your power lies in beginning where you are, and that your true strength is found in showing up fully in the moment you're living right now. Wisdom often reveals itself not in the answers we collect, but in the courage to admit, "I don't know." That phrase, when spoken with humility, becomes a doorway rather than a wall. It invites curiosity, learning, and expansion. Pretending to know everything shuts growth down, but acknowledging uncertainty creates space for transformation. Life has a way of teaching lessons through storms, and the ones who grow are not those who try to avoid the rain, but those who learn to dance in it. Storms don't exist to destroy you. They exist to reveal where your roots are. And when you stop measuring yourself against the journeys of others, you begin to see the quiet progress of your own. The only comparison worth making is with your yesterday. Are you more patient, more resilient, more aware than you were before? That is wisdom in motion, progress disguised as humility. This mindset paves the way for one of the most powerful revelations. You must become before you achieve. Achievement without becoming leaves you empty, chasing validation that fades as quickly as it arrives. True impact comes when your outer accomplishments are matched by an inner evolution. Quality thoughts shape the architecture of your choices. Steady calm stabilizes your steps when everything else trembles. And self-respect ensures that you don't sacrifice your values for short-term gains. Growth always begins at the edge of comfort, in the places where fear whispers that you should stop. But pushing past that whisper is where becoming begins. The hidden truth is that external success cannot outpace internal growth. If it does, the foundation cracks. Becoming is not a single transformation. It is a journey that repeats itself in cycles. Each challenge asks you to become someone new before you can achieve something new. This is why setbacks often appear just before breakthroughs. They test whether you are ready to hold the weight of what you are pursuing. Behind the scenes of every success story lies the unseen discipline of someone who chose to expand their character before expanding their reach. And this is what sustains you. Achievements can be taken, reputations can be broken, but who you become is yours to keep. Now, I want to go even deeper into this topic, because when you pair the humility of "I don't know" with the courage to become before you achieve, you unlock a level of freedom that few ever taste. You no longer live to prove yourself to others. You live to expand yourself for you. That shift changes the impact of every decision, the way you interpret every obstacle, and the purpose that fuels your entire journey. If this resonates with you, write in the comments, "I choose becoming." Let it be a reminder that wisdom is not about knowing it all, but about staying open to growth. And that real achievement is the natural echo of the person you are continuously becoming. If you've walked with me all the way to this point, it tells me you value these moments of reflection as much as I do. That's exactly why I invite you to subscribe, so you don't miss the kind of insights that can quietly reshape the way you see your own journey. And since you've made it here, leave. Comment saying, "I'm with you until the end." I'd love to know who stayed for the full message. If what we shared today spoke to you, a simple like is more than enough to show that connection. And before you go, there's a video right here that complements this topic beautifully. Click and continue with me over there. We'll keep unfolding these ideas together.